All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and welcome to the recap of Week 6 of the NFL Survivor experience. We're going to go over kind of what happened in Week 6, some recommendations that we made, some that worked out, some that did not. Talk about my trip to Vegas a little bit, and set ourselves up for Week 7. First of all, I really appreciate all of the discourse in Discord. Please keep the questions coming. More than happy to answer whatever I can. Again, a little bit of wariness. I can't really recommend specific plays for specific people for specific entries, just because I don't know the whole picture, and so that wouldn't be responsible for me to even do that. So first of all, we'll talk a little bit. I actually did go out to Vegas this past weekend with my son. We got to play some golf. We played at the Wynn on Friday, played at Paiute on Saturday, and then Sunday we spent the whole day at Circa, watching the games at Circa Stadium Swim, which is just kind of a ridiculously insane experience. If you have not done that yet, I would fully recommend it. A lot of fun, a lot of good bonding time, a lot of good football, a lot of good degenerate gambling, and all healthy, all good stuff. Okay, first of all, what you see here is the tool, which is actually already updated for Week 7, which means I'm not going to be able to see what Week 6 looked like. But I remember, and I'm going to go back and look at some of the lobbies and Splash to remind ourselves of what we did. Now, again, also, this map is very, it's very fishy, I have to say. I just can't manually override some of the stuff that it's showing for later on in the season. So that's why you have to be in the premium show where we go over all that stuff. So first thing, single pick pools. As I mentioned last week, I really thought that Green Bay was a very, very solid option. Yes, they were very chalky. They were, their EV was very, very strong. It was like 1.10. And even though I thought, I knew they were going to be like 40, 45% owned, I still thought it was very, very reasonable to play them. So here's actually the Splash. This is the high stakes one that I'm in. I played the Packers. The pick percentage in this tournament was actually pretty along the lines of what I thought it would be in a contest like this. And I really didn't like anything else as far as single picks. I said the Eagles were a really bad pick, and they not just they lost. They happened to be a really bad pick. And I can't believe 10% of high-stakes players played them here. I also said the Rams were a really, really bad play. And I can't believe 12% of people picked them. Survivor is not dead, trust me. Very, very thriving here. So as far as single picks goes, it was no sweat, really. Well, okay. Did the Bengals ever actually have the ball down one possession? I don't think they ever actually got it down one possession. But they're feisty, and the NFL is rough. So I guess all the people that took the Packers did have a little bit to sweat. But at the end of the day, that all worked out. Everything was predictable, and everybody advanced, I would imagine. If you went ahead and played the Colts, I thought that was okay. I didn't think it was terrible, as we'll get to when we talk about, the approach for Week 7. I thought It was probably not great in doubles, though, which we're going to get to in a minute. I thought the Broncos last week was extremely poor play for reasons that we'll get to when we discuss this coming week. Not to say that Broncos are a great play this week. Maybe they are. We'll get to that tomorrow. So the majority of the discussion, which I kind of like, was centered around the double pick stuff because that's where all the big money is coming from on Splash right now. And it's a very, very, very high volatility type of survivor contest. And I think it's really good exercise to learn how to play those. So that's why we really segment these types of pools where you're going to need to make double picks in weeks 11 and beyond, or maybe weeks 12 and beyond. And playing those types of pools really, really trains you how to read this map, and really trains you how to really think about survivor pools and what's really important. So for those, I identified several things. Number one, I didn't like the Packers at all in doubles. Okay. I said I wasn't going to play a share of them, and I did not. The Colts, I didn't like them in doubles at all. Didn't play a share of them. I thought the Rams were an atrocious play in doubles. I thought the Broncos were actually okay in doubles, I thought. Just because the majority of their value was going to be coming in singles. That's what we talked about. But the three teams that I really focused on were the Steelers, the Raiders, and the Commanders. Okay, I thought those three were really the only teams that I would have recommended in double pick pools, in pools where you need to make doubles later, just because of the way the future values of all three of those teams kind of played out. And Las Vegas advanced really easily. Pittsburgh advanced really easily. And unfortunately, Washington, who was the lowest owned of all of them, they choked at the end. I mean, they really had that game wrapped up. And Jaden Daniels was, one more first down, it was over. Even not, even if they kicked a field goal, it would have been like 80% to win. And on third and one, they fumbled the ball, and Chicago came down and won the game. So that was unfortunate. I really wanted all those three speculative double plays to go through, but again, the NFL gods do not really care what I want. But overall, obviously, if you had the Raiders, and you played a bunch of that, you really, really did well. Now, again, it doesn't seem that way because only 10% of the pool really got 10% of the pools kind of got knocked out. Like, even if you look at the SHIPIT Nation pool, where I guess some people are listening to what we're saying here, and we did at 11% played the Steelers and 10% played the Raiders. Even still, you saved like all of these teams for doubles, and that is extraordinary value. Okay, you might not ever realize it. Like when I say realize, you might not realize that value ever, but you're setting yourself up to realize it, and that's the most important thing. So, doubles again, Steelers, Raiders, very, very strong, I thought. And I didn't like anybody else for a cent. I didn't play anybody else for a cent. That was the end of that. I guess I'll update you on something else. I do have 3 entries in the big Circa Survivor contest out there, and they're very, very strong entries. And as we get, a little bit further down, I could start talking about that a little bit, because I really don't think that anybody in this group is in Circa Survivor. So I'm not like giving away my edge or anything like that. And I don't even think it matters at some point, because at some point, like your path is your path, and no one can really do anything about it. And even if somebody knew exactly what I was playing, it really wouldn't hurt me all that much anyway. We'll talk about this another time, but it's also, in a weird way, it's an advantage to actually tell people who you're playing. Because when you tell people who you're playing, than what if you're making, say, like the best highest EV play, then it actually it encourages the people listening to you to not play them, because if they copy you, they're costing themselves EV. So if you kind of like lock in and claim a team as yours and tell people that's what you're doing, you're actually increasing your EV, presuming that everybody plays optimally and they wouldn't play the same thing that you did. But that's for another discussion. Just for fun, couple of things. Let's review even that map or even that path that I promise you that you could use to kind of get to the end. Okay. And in single picks, it's like a piece of cake. And what's weird about it is that, and yet still, you probably have about a 1% chance of getting there. But like, for example, if you've been using some of the stuff that we've talked about, got past last week, week 7, you could play, even like, not to get fancy, let's just say you played Kansas City. Then week 8, see, this Bengals thing doesn't really exist. Week 8, let's say you played the Colts. They're going to be probably -7 against Tennessee. We'll talk about that another time. And then we saved the Rams for week 9. Let's say we use the Packers. That's fine. So we use the Rams in 9. Week 10, we could use the Broncos. Week 11, we could use, presuming the Ravens, if they're act together, we could play them. Patriots are probably pretty good in 11 nowadays against the Jets. Week 12, we can play the Lions. They'll be a big favorite over the Giants. Week 13, we haven't used Philly yet. We could play them as the biggest favorite on Thanksgiving. We play the Chargers. I mean, either of those things work. Week 14, Tampa's a lock. Week 15, San Francisco, biggest favorite over Tennessee, who's hopeless. Week 16, we didn't use Buffalo yet. Let's use them as the top choice. Week 17, there's Washington. They're the top favorite. You can use them. And then week 18, I mean, you take your pick, really. Atlanta maybe, home against New Orleans. So you can even look through this and see that there are very easy paths to get there, and which is kind of funny because, and yet you probably have a 1% chance of doing it. But it's okay. It's okay. The idea is that you do want to get all the way. You have to get all the way to the end and do it in a highly leveraged way. So we will talk about that. You want to take a quick look? We'll refresh this real fast and see what at least the EV looks like. So again, if you're in the premium subscriber, you'll get access to this tool where you could not only calculate the EV, but if you think that your popularities in your pools are different, or you want to change the win percentages for some reason, then you could do that and recalculate the EVs. So when you look at this right away, I mean, you're going to see that the top EV team, even though Kansas City is the top favorite team, if you just look at it by EV, Denver would be the top team because they have Denver as being 3% owned. Okay. And I mean, it leads me to believe, how could Denver really only be 3% owned in a spot like this? So we'll talk about that. But I really thought that Denver was going to be a little higher owned this past week, and nobody played them. And then you have Green Bay. Green Bay is an interesting case because they're high EV, not because they're such a huge favorite, just because nobody has them, right? Because they all used them this past week. So this is one of the things that you could do. You save Green Bay, maybe you get to use them here. Kansas City. Again, biggest favorite, but they're super chalky, right? 43% owned. That's the projection, at least as of now. And this is admittedly single pick pool stuff, right? And then you have the real hipster play of the week, which we'll talk about. And you have New England. New England all of a sudden is the nuts, and they are now going to be playing the lowly Titans. So, not to mention Mike Vrabel going back to play his old team, whatever that means. So there are things to talk about, and you have always those bow wow teams that we love to play, the sub 1 EV type teams. We'll talk about all that stuff. But again, the purpose of these lectures in this program is to teach you guys how to do this stuff yourself, because right, everybody's path is different. Everybody's selection pool is different. So I'm going to go through my favorite plays, but it's going to come to a point where I'm like, okay, I like this. And you'd be like, well, I don't have that. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to learn how to balance these EVs and future values for yourself, and learn how to read these maps and know when to adjust yourself. And that's hopefully what I teach you guys specifically in that premium thing tomorrow. So I guess that's pretty much it. I will be here again at 4 p.m. tomorrow to make heads or tails of all this. Feel free to ask whatever questions you have in the Discord channel, and I will address those tomorrow at 4 p.m. along with whatever else. So that is going to do it. Good luck, everybody.